Hi, everybody. We're back to our social studies lessons, and we are going to continue on today with lesson 8, money choices. But before we look at today's learning target, we're going to look at yesterday's learning target. We can explain how supply and demand affect what people buy, okay? And you'll remember in our lesson from yesterday that we said supply is how much of an item is for sale and demand is how much people want the item or service. And that supply and demand is going to affect how they're going to spend their money. When something is in high demand, that means that a lot of people want to spend money on that good or service. Right now, what comes to mind are paper products. Those are in high demand right now. However, they are in low supply, which means that there's a scarcity of those things in the store right now. So as a consumer, I'm not able to spend my money on those things because they are not available. When we talk about low demand, that those are goods or services that not a whole lot of people, for whatever reason, are interested in buying. I think in yesterday's lesson where mistakenly the store got in the summer got a shipment of winter boots. Well, those were in low demand because people in the summer don't need winter boots, and yet the store had a high supply of them. They had a lot of them to sell, and people were not spending their money on those because there was no need for them in the summer. So today's learning target is going to be about how we can explain choices that people have when they spend and save their money. Okay, so today we're talking about money choices. And so that's not what we should be seeing. There we go. So today's learning target is we can explain how supply, nope, that's not, we're talking about money choices. Sooner or later, Mrs. Moran's going to get this right, so bear with me. All right, so today's lesson is money choices. And our learning target for today is that we can explain choices that people have when they're either spending or saving their money. And if you look at the picture of the little girl, all right, her name is Bianca, and she just received $5 for cutting her neighbor's grass. And she has two choices. She can either spend her money or she could save it. We're going to read a book to help us learn a little bit more about spending and saving. So you should pull up your book called Spending and Saving, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to read it together. People in a community work very hard to earn an income. Sometimes the money that people earn is used to buy goods and services, wants, and needs. Sometimes the money they earn is saved, meaning that they don't spend it. People have to make important decisions about what to spend their money on. They have to make important decisions about saving their money too. People who earn money can decide what to spend their money on. Do they buy things they need or things that they want? Choices that people make about what to spend their money on can have both benefits and consequences. Since people work hard to earn money, it's important that they are responsible when spending it. Mr. Larkin works at a school as a teacher. The income he earns from his job is used to pay the rent for his apartment, food, and clothing. Mr. Larkin uses his income to pay for his needs. His needs are his apartment, his food, and his clothing. What do you think would happen if Mr. Larkin used his income to buy all wants instead? That's right. He wouldn't have money to pay for his apartment, or his food, or his clothing. And since Food, clothing, and shelter are things that we need to survive, Mr. Larkin would not have a very easy time of surviving. Ryan works at a coffee shop. She likes to spend all of her income on fun things like going to the movies, shopping for new clothes, and buying things that she doesn't need. At the end of the month, Ryan is worried because she doesn't have enough money to pay for the things that she needs. How could Ryan be more responsible? She could probably be more responsible, like our friend, Mr. Larkin, because he made sure before he bought any of those things or went to the movies that first he paid for his apartment, his food, and his clothing, and probably paid his bills as well. So she might be more responsible by making sure that before she went to the movies or shopping for clothes and buying things that she didn't need, that she had used her money wisely and paid for her rent, her food, and her rent, her food, and her other bills that she needed before she would go out and buy things that she doesn't really need in order to survive. People who earn money might decide to save some of their money instead of spending it all. They might buy some things that they need, then save the rest. They might save all of it. Saving your money can have both positive and negative results. Since people work hard to earn money, it's important to make responsible decisions about spending and saving. Even those of you who might earn some money, an allowance for doing chores around the house, you need to learn at this age to be responsible for your money as well. In many households, if children are given an allowance, they have to put aside a certain percentage. Let's say they have to put $1 aside to put into the collection at Mass, either at school Mass or on Sunday at Sunday Mass. They might be expected to put a certain amount of it into their savings account that mom and dad have opened for them, or if they haven't opened a savings account for them, into their piggy bank. And then whatever is left over would be money that they would be able to use to buy the things that they want. Ahmed works in an office. He uses his income to pay for food, shelter, and clothing for his family. Ahmed has a savings account at the bank. What is left over at the end of the month is put into his savings account. Ahmed is saving that money in case of an emergency. How is Ahmed showing responsibility? Well, if we go back into the text, we see that before he does anything else, he uses his income earned for his job to pay for food, to pay for shelter, unlike Ryan, to pay for clothing that he needs, not that he doesn't need, for himself and his family. Whatever is left over at the end of the month after purchasing the food, the shelter, and the clothing for his family, he puts into a savings account in case there's an emergency. And that emergency could be a broken appliance in the house, or it could be a car repair. It could be that somebody needs to have some type of medical service provided to them. And so having that money in his savings account at the bank helps him to know that he doesn't need to worry if an emergency comes up. Malanda works at a seamstress shop. She lives with her parents and goes to school. Malanda does not spend any of her income. She is saving all of the money she earns to help pay for college. Because she saves all of her money, she doesn't have any left to do fun things like going out with her friends. What would you do if you were Melanda? Well, again, we could go back to Ahmed. Okay. Now, she doesn't have any money because she puts all of her money into savings. She doesn't need to pay for food or shelter because she's living with mom and dad. She might want to think about taking some of that money, a portion of it, even though she's being responsible and using her money for college. She might want to think about setting aside a small amount of money each month so that she can go and do some fun things like going to the movies or maybe out to lunch with her friends. It's important to make smart choices when spending your money. Sometimes items and services are put on sale. That means the price that you need to pay to buy that good or service are lowered. Sometimes stores offer coupons to help lower the price of an item or service. Sales and coupons are great because they can help you save money. Another way people can save money is by comparison shopping. Oftentimes, stores sell items that are very similar. They might charge different prices for those items. For example, Daria needs to buy some pasta for dinner. She sees two different kinds of pasta at the store and is going to compare them before she buys. The boxes are the same size. The pasta looks the same. One box is being sold for $1 and the other box for $2. Which one should Daria buy? She's a smart consumer. She will buy the product that is being sold for $1. People can also comparison shop between stores. You might see a pair of boots that you want at Midway being sold for $10. The exact same pair of boots are being sold at Kroger on sale for $7. Where should you buy the boots? Definitely at Kroger because they're the same boots, but you're going to spend $3 less if you buy them at Kroger than you would at Midway. Mrs. Moran did that at Christmas with a golf shirt that she was buying for her son. At, I believe, Macy's, the shirt was, we'll go with the Midway prices here, was $10. And at Dillard's, it we'll say was $7. So Mrs. Moran went ahead and bought the shirt at Dillard's at a really good savings. And yet her son still was able to have the shirt that he had requested as his Christmas gift. When you comparison shop, you look at items that are being sold and you compare their prices and qualities. Then you decide which one has more value to you. Do you buy the more expensive shirt because it's better quality, or do you buy the least expensive shirt because the quality is about the same? In the example that I gave you earlier about my son's Christmas gift, it was the exact same shirt. It's just that at one store, it was one price, and at Dillard's, it was because a sale was going on and I had a coupon, it was considerably less expensive to buy it there. Same shirt, just considerably less expensive. Since people in a community work very hard to earn an income, it's important that they make wise choices about spending and saving. Learning how to be responsible with your money is an important part of growing up. Okay, so in this activity, when you're finished, you don't see it here, but you will see it attached, is a spend and save cut and paste activity, which moms and dads, you might, before you print it, need to shrink it a little bit so that it will fit into their social studies interactive notebook. If you're not able to do that and all you're able to do is print the pieces out the way they are, go ahead and do it. Cut them out, and then instead of putting them in the notebook, they can line them up on the floor or a table, just so that I have an idea that they have the understanding between what spending is and what saving is. In either event, make sure that you go ahead and take a picture of that and share it to me at the end of the day. And then you're also going to complete money choices, the activity page that you see here. And again, once you have, if you're able to print it, go ahead and print it. If you're able to do what Lily's family is doing and save the image as an image and then open it in print, paint, you can complete it that way. If you aren't able to do it either of those two ways, just again, replicate it in the social studies notebook and go ahead and take a picture of it and send it to me as well. And so before we close, I want us to remember that all of us have important decisions to make when it comes with the income that we earn, whether it's mom and dad with the job that they make, or you as boys and girls with the allowance that you make. We need to always remember with our income to go ahead and make sure that we pay for our food, our shelter, and our clothing. And then if we have any money left over from that, if we're a mom or a dad, mom and dads make smart choices by putting what's left over into savings so that they have that for emergencies. Boys and girls who are earning an allowance, even though it's not as much money as mom and dad are making, and you don't have to pay for food or clothing or shelter, it's still a good idea to make sure that you take some of that money from your allowance each week and to put it into your savings. And then what you haven't put into savings, that then you have to spend on something that you might need or want. Till next time.